This is the second set of the 2005 US Open between Andre Agassi and Roger Federer. In the first set, Federer won 6-3, so we're going into the second set. Agassi is serving first. Federer won the first set pretty handily, but Agassi was very tough, and he extended the set and therefore was able to serve first in the second set. He got his easy hold, and then he finally got a break on Federer in the second game, Federer's first serving game. Agassi just served so well, or returned so well. He's been considered by many the greatest uh, returner in the history of tennis. Prior to Agassi, Jimmy Connors was considered the greatest at returning serves, but then Agassi, in many people's minds, surpassed Connors, and you can see why in this second set. Um, Agassi was able to break Federer twice in the Federer's first service game when he was up 1-love, and then when Agassi was up 5-2, he was able to break Federer again. And it really was that forehand return, just crushing it. Sometimes past Federer, sometimes right at Federer's feet. But I don't think Federer had ever really had somebody return to him quite so well. And Federer served really well. Again, I think he had eight aces at least through the first two sets. And typically he would hit them up the tee, which I notice he does quite often. I always thought maybe Agassi should inch over a little bit on his in the deuce court because he seemed to be really stretching to. If he didn't get ace, he had a really hard time getting his backhand on Federer's serve. But I guess that's why he's the champion. He knew what to do, and eventually Federer started swinging out that serve wide on the deuce court, and Agassi was crushing it with his forehand. Some just outright winners. But Agassi really put on a clinic in this set, not just with the booming forehands and backhands from the baseline, but he did a lot of serve and volley. He actually charged on after Federer served sometimes. And then he had one point that I especially liked. He was winning 3-love. Federer was serving and had it 40-love, and Agassi hit a lob over Federer's head, which Federer was able to run down and return, but then Agassi hit a beautiful drop shot. So it just shows the well-rounded game that Agassi had. So many players just are one-trick ponies with certain shots, and he could go from one hitting great serves, hitting great returns, forehands, backhands, and then he can hit a lob and a drop shot at the same point and win a really good point there. Agassi did have one close call on his serve at 2-love. Um, he was down 15-40, and then he saved those two break points. Then they had, I think, two or three deuces. Federer had another break point, but he wasn't able to convert. So sometimes it felt like Agassi was living on borrowed time, especially with the serve. As Mary Carrillo at one point said he was serving 43% on his first serve. So that's a little bit ominous for a long, potentially 4 or 5 set match. But he was doing well overall with the serve and just playing aggressive, moving well, hitting his shots crisply. And Federer just took a bit of a dip from the first set to the second set. He made some more errors. His backhand wasn't as good in the second set. And one thing I noticed, and that McEnroe noted in his commentary too, was that I guess maybe Agassi was hitting a kick serve, so it was bouncing up high or a topspin serve, and then Federer just started, and he was almost always hitting the Federer's backhand on his serve, and Federer kept slicing the return, which is a good shot, but it just took some of the velocity off of it and allowed Agassi to get over in position, set his feet, and hit a good forehand or backhand and start the rally sort of from an offensive position. So that was something Federer started to tweak later in the set. He started hitting his regular backhand return. So overall, again, just super high level of tennis. This is why I consider this a great match because they're great players and they're both playing you know, 90, 95, 100% of their abilities. So, I mean, they're both really on the money. Um, Federer didn't play bad, and against, you know, 99% of the pros, he probably would have won this set. But Agassi was just played as well as he possibly could, I think, to win this set 6-2, to get two breaks and even this up at 1-1. One other thing they always talk about, and I don't, I think they overdo it a little bit, is talking about the crowd. They love to do this at the US Open because the New York crowd is very vocal. But I guess it does have some effect. But the crowd was definitely pro Agassi. They weren't anti Federer at all. I think they liked Federer and they grew to love him more and more over the years. But at this time, Agassi was definitely the clear crowd favorite, the older guy, the American, and they kind of wanted to see him go out with the last hurrah. And at this point in the set, it looks like he could possibly do it. He figured out how to break Federer's serve. He is still managing to hold his own serve, and he was able to win the set very convincingly at 6-2. So we're going to move on to the third set. We're tied up one apiece. And again, Agassi will serve first because he broke Federer in the last game of the second set. Looking forward to seeing the third set.